يعطيكم العافية. As I said last time, to study for the biology test, you can use any prep book. You can use Barron's, you can use Patterson Success, you can use your uh, biology book, okay? Any book is good for this purpose. But the most important thing is to have a real schedule to study. You have ability to summarize the ideas and the topics. That is the big thing. To train yourself how to solve the question with the shortest time and so on. Now we are going to go over some tips how to manage your time and what to do in the test, but not now. But the most important thing is to choose a source to study on. Like choose one book. If you have your Barron's, use it. If you have a Patterson Success, use it. If you don't have anything, you can use the biology book. And you can find, by the way, you can find the Success اللي هو Patterson Success. ممكن تلاقوه على الانترنت. أنا نزلته من الانترنت. I'm gonna try to find the link and send it to you if you need it. Okay, that's the one that I use right now, the Patterson Success. Why? Because it's the only available book for me now, and it's so good. It's not bad. No, it's very good. It's a very good book. طيب, today we are going to start with chapter 2. Chapter 1 in this book was about basic chemistry, and I'm sure most of you know these details about chemistry, electron, proton, neutron, all of these stuff. I think you master this and you're good at that. This is why we are going to start chapter 2, cells, organization and regulation. As all of you know that cells are the basic unit of living things. Now in this chapter you should understand the structure of the cell, and you understand the function of these cells and the function of all the component of the cell. تمام. You should understand the type of the cell. You should understand how cell divide, the cell cycle, and all these stuff. تمام. فهذا اللي احنا we are going to go over in this chapter. طيب. أول شيء, cells, we have two types of cells, as you know. We have prokaryote and we have eukaryote. تمام. Now again, viruses are not considered living thing. ليش؟ مين بيقدر يعرف لي ليش viruses are not living thing? I'm 100% sure that all of you have the answer. Okay. Now for people who don't have the answer is virus cannot reproduce by themselves. They need a host to reproduce. This is why we don't consider them a living thing. Now the first type of cells are prokaryote. Prokaryotes lack the membrane-bound organelles. They don't have membrane-bound organelles. They don't have nucleus, of course, and their DNA is a single molecule and usually is circle. تمام. The shape of the DNA in prokaryote usually is a circle. تمام. And it has ribosome, it has cytoplasm and cell wall. كويس. And some of them, some bacteria or prokaryotes, they have flagella. And the flagella, for people who don't know what flagella is, flagella, imagine this is the bacteria. Flagella is this rope that connects with the bacteria that helps it to move. Okay, هذا الاشي هون we call it ايش؟ flagella. تمام. Okay. Now also, like eukaryote has flagella, but the structure of the flagella and eukaryote and the prokaryote is different. Also they have cilia. Some of them they have cilia, and cilia is, imagine this is the prokaryote. Cilia is a little hair on the surface of the bacteria or the prokaryote, but also it helps it to move and to change direction and so on. It has a lot of function. Okay. Now there are two type of bacteria I'm sorry of prokaryotes. في عنا bacteria. The first type of prokaryote is bacteria, as you see here, bacteria, and the second type is archaea. Now, most of you know the bacteria very well, and you heard of it a lot. So archaea, for some of you, it's a new type of species to read about. Archaea, it's kind of prokaryotes that lives mostly in extreme conditions, in extreme temperature, in extreme pressure, in extreme pH and salinity. Okay, now we don't focus that much on archaea, even in SAT biology. When we study even biology in college, we don't focus on archaea that much. Okay, now this is the prokaryotes. Now what about the eukaryote? Eukaryote contains all the organelles, okay, the membrane bound organelles, has a membrane, okay, and it has a lot of things that we're going to study now. The first thing we study is the membrane. The membrane of the eukaryotes has what? What is the component of the membrane as you see in this picture? It has phospholipid bilayer, has protein, has also carbohydrates on the surface, and so on. Now, the main model that explain how the component of the cell membrane arranged, how they move, and explain how this structure of the plasma membrane support the function that the plasma membrane does. بيسموا هاي الموديل بيسموها fluid mosaic model. الموديل اللي بيشرح كيف الأورجانيلز، كيف ال component of the cell membrane تتحرك، كيف هي مرتبة بالممبرين. هاي اسمه ايش الموديل؟ اسمه fluid mosaic model. هذا describe a phospholipid bilayer as the foundation of a plasma membrane. هسه بدنا نتذكر quickly the shape of the phospholipid is like this. The phospholipid has head and tail. Okay, now حتى أفهمكم شو أنا اللي بحكي عنه، هاي المربع اللي رسمته أنا، اعمل enlargement ل one of those, you're gonna see this, right? That's a one molecule of phospholipid. One molecule of phospholipid. Okay, has head and tail. The head is hydrophilic. Hydrophilic means loves water. And the tails are hydrophobic. Hydrophobic, they don't like the water. They don't like water. تمام? This is why the way how the molecule, this molecule arranged is in a bilayer system where each molecule has the head, the hydrophilic head, exposed to water, and the tails, okay, are hidden between the two heads. As you see here, this picture, phosphobilayer في عندنا heads on the both surfaces, and between them we have the tails, okay, hidden from the water. طيب. Now, what we can find in this plasma membrane, we can find channel protein. Okay, هذولا عبارة عن passage, provide for the passage of certain water soluble substance across the membrane. يعني هذول بيخلوا some type of water soluble substance to cross the membrane without energy. في عنا electron transport proteins. هذول they transport electron, okay, from one molecule to another molecule. في عنا receptor protein. They bind with the ligand. They receive messages. في عنا recognition protein. Recognition protein هم kind of protein that allow cells to know each other. Specifically, this recognition protein is important in immune system. Okay, the immune system cells, they have a lot of recognition protein, and when they scan a lot of cells in the body, they, using these recognition protein, they know this is a normal cell or this is a cancer cell. This is a friend in the body, this is not a friend in the body, and so on. Now, transport protein, they use ATP to transport material across the membrane. هذول 5 kind of proteins that you expect to find in the plasma membrane. بتلاقي هون بالpicture some of them they are only in the outer layer, some of them in the inner layer, some of them across the both layer, and so on. طيب وين الكربوهيدرات في البلازما membrane؟ الكربوهيدرات موجود mostly on the outside of the membrane. هون موجود، هون المنطقة هاي، this area we find a lot of carbohydrates. They are very helpful in recognition. They help a lot the recognition protein. طيب الآن transport across the membrane, how the molecules transport across the membrane. I'm not gonna go take a lot of time to explain this because I'm 100% sure most of you are good at this. But the first thing, that the membrane that we have is selectively permeable membrane. الممبرين اللي عند الخلايا هو selectively permeable membrane. Permeable means allow, selectively permeable معناها allow some molecules to cross it and it prevent others. It's selectively, and sometimes they call it semi-permeable membrane. Okay, any membrane that which only certain substance can pass. This process is dictated by several factors and explained below. الآن أول explanation how molecules move across the membrane here diffusion. 100% sure most of you know diffusion and you understand diffusion. Okay, but diffusion across the cell membrane, it happens through the phospholipid. Okay, مثلا the movement of CO2 and oxygen happens across what? Across the phospholipid. Okay, through a process of diffusion, which is random movement of particles from an area of a greater concentration to an area of lesser concentration. فإذا بنطلع هون بالمثال اللي حطينا إياه this example، هون high concentration، هون low concentration. With diffusion across the phospholipids, the movement from high concentration to the low concentration with the concentration gradient. Okay, مع تدرج التركيز من الأعلى للأقل with the concentration gradient. So the second way اللي هي الأسموسيس اللي هي normal diffusion أو simple diffusion بس for what? For water. فهي diffusion of water. Okay, again the same thing. The water goes from high water concentration to low water concentration. And here is a very important thing I want to remind you with, because I noticed some of you have this question wrong about what's going to happen if we put red blood cell in high salt concentration or in low salt concentration. What's going to happen? Now, for osmosis, there is 3 cases. When you put a red blood cell, in, like, we have the 3 types of solution based on the way how they affect the cells. Our kind of solution هو الisotonic solution. Now, the isotonic solution is the solution that has the equal amount of water enter and exit the cell. كيف صار هذا الحكي؟ Because they have the same concentration of salt. The isotonic solution is a solution that has the same concentration of salt comparing with the cell or the cytoplasm of the cell. The hypertonic solution هو solution بيكون فيه ال concentration of the salt higher than the concentration of the salt inside the cell. فالconcentration هون في السوليوشن أعلى من الconcentration للsalt inside the cell. هون بالisotonic they are equal. salt concentration برا salt concentration جوا equal. بالhypertonic solution تمام بيكون concentration outside solution higher than the concentration inside the cell. هسه بالhypertonic solution بيكون solution salt concentration lower than the salt concentration inside the cell. So إذا سألكم بالامتحان what's going to happen to the red blood cell if you put it in high salt concentration, يعني you put it into إيش hypertonic solution, it's going to shrink. إذا قال what's going to happen if you put the cell in a low salt concentration, يعني قاعد بحكي لك what's going to happen if you put it in hypertonic solution, it's going to expand and it might be burst. تمام ممكن explode. طيب okay, let's go back to our book. Hi, the idea of osmosis. If you still not understand the idea of osmosis and hypotonic, isotonic, hypertonic, just Google it, watch a video, simple animation about this idea, you'll be okay and you'll understand it. طيب الآن في شيء اسمه facilitated diffusion. هذا facilitated diffusion هو diffusion of water soluble substance added by a channel of protein. حتى اشرح لكم هاي الايديا خليني ارسم بس هيك no صغار okay خليني ارسم. Imagine this is the membrane and there is a protein here. Okay. Okay, هذا protein channel. Okay, هذا protein channel. هسا إذا كان في عنا هون molecules, a lot of molecules, high concentration, هون low concentration. The movement of this molecule from high concentration, هون high concentration, هون low concentration. مظبوط؟ But the problem is that this molecule cannot cross phospholipid from here, cannot cross this area. Why? Because this is water soluble molecules. ما بقدر يفوت بين tails of the phospholipid. فما بقدر يمر from this area. Okay? ما بقدر يمر from this area هون. This is why it needs إيش؟ a channel. بس افتح له الباب وخليه يفوت. It's gonna flow from high concentration to low concentration. This is why they call it إيش؟ facilitated, because this channel protein is going to facilitate the diffusion process. طيب. Now active transport is energy added transport using ATP and transport protein in the membrane. And active transport تختلف عن facilitated diffusion. Both of them they use a protein, but the first one facilitated diffusion use a channel protein. High use active transport use active protein. Active transport protein. Idea برضو simple. بيكون عندنا هون protein هون low concentration outside and high concentration inside. تمام. Now in normal case إذا هذا المولecule can pass through the phospholipids, it's going to move from high concentration to low concentration. بس هذا المولecule cannot pass through the phospholipid, okay, and the cell needs it in a high concentration inside the cell, okay. فشو السيل بتساوي؟ use this protein to move this molecule from low concentration here to high concentration, يعني against the concentration gradient, عكس تدرج التركيز. احنا بالديفيوجن normal diffusion بتصير بدون ما الخلية تدفع any energy. The cell in normal diffusion, in simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion and osmosis does not pay any energy. Okay? But active transport needs energy. Active transport needs energy because we move molecules against the concentration gradient. عكس تدرج التركيز. From low concentration to high concentration. This is low concentration. This is high concentration. Okay? Now the last type of molecule movement is exocytosis and endocytosis. Exocytosis is movement of substance out of the cell with the membrane vehicles or vesicles, which release the exterior of the cell. Okay? It's a good idea to watch a video on this. After I finish this